What up in this, John? It's your boy Ibskelso coming back with another MX Bikes banger. In today's video, I just want to explain why it's smarter to stay on a 250 before going over to a 450 in MX Bikes as a beginner. A lot of people think you just need that extra power, whether it be for Supercross or motocross, going onto a 450. But the only thing is you don't have the technique to ride that 450, or the momentum, or knowing when to sit and stand, or knowing what gear to be in. 250s are lightweight, they're compact, they're versatile, and you can throw this thing around how you want it instead of the bike throwing you around. You really can focus on actually wielding this bike to your liking instead of the other way around, which actually benefits you in a lot. You can really focus on corner speed, and which would actually convert over to what you do on a 450. You ever see 450 riders, they're barely on the gas, but what's keeping them around the corners is their momentum, and they're shaving off a lot of that extra speed by scrubbing. You focus on actually keeping more speed and more wicked out on a 250, you can actually work on harder scrubs on a 450. You don't really have to go more than maybe third gear out of a 450, but you can probably go all the way up to fifth gear on a 250. I think what a lot of new beginners in MX bikes have trouble with is corner speed and being able to turn the bike in these corners. I think I hear a lot about, like, do you use lean assist and being able to do stuff like this. Right there, starting on a 250 instead of a 450, I can just stand up the whole time around that corner and turn the bike. It's very agile, it's versatile, and it's very lightweight. So being able to just do that the whole time and then maybe upshift into your whoops, you really don't have to keep lean assist on. You can stand everywhere if you wanted to, or sit down and make the bike turn faster. I think that's where a lot of people are trying to figure out why they go to a 450 before they stay on a 250, because they think they need that more power. I promise you, cutting down on a 450 is fun if you know exactly why you're cutting down, but if you're just cutting down to kind of use lazy riding or the crutch of the power, you're just in the wrong. Like, it's not helping you, it's really hurting you, especially when you think you're going to be able to compete against a faster 250 rider or even a pro rider. They carry all their speed around these momentums, whether it be around these corners, whether it be a 250 or a 450. So focusing on that helps you out a lot. Now, a huge pro, or I guess you can say con, I know a lot of people hate having to shift a lot in MX bikes, but I promise you, shifting into a higher gear on a 250 actually helps your suspension. It actually keeps it more plush and more like controllable. Being in a higher gear will help you out a lot in this video game. 450s have so much torque and or a different kind of power band and weight to the bike. This is lightweight. 450s like 25 extra more pounds, right? So you got to think about that. Having a little bit of a better suspension is huge for a 250. That also being said, with the gearing, you need to use all the gearing you can do on a 250. You really want to focus on staying in that high RPMs. Being able to do that will carry your speed around corners or keep your speed around a whole track. And the reason why I chose Supercross today is because we're at Anaheim. Yamaha, Deegan, he's going to West Coast. And it's just 2 weeks away, man. So I think the best way to explain a lot of this is here, Anaheim 1 2024, because he had a lot of ball, like big 180 turns like this, to where you really can't carry your speed and work on it. Now, coming back around, I'll show you that that's a 450 line to hit into a quad, into the sand, but keeping your momentum up and knowing what gear you need to be in, you can actually hit that on a 250. Another thing is you don't want to run out of gear on a 250. So through the whoops, the biggest thing is staying in that like second gear as if you could on a 450. You don't want to do that. You want to stay as high as a gear as possible because you want the bike to continuously gain traction instead of lose traction. If you stay in a lower gear, the back wheel is just going to spin. And what happens when you spin is you just start to lose momentum and you start to get bucked. So staying in that higher gear will help you out big time, especially through the whoops. And making sure your front wheel just touches each one. Let's go for this quad in though. Ooh, quad right there. That usually a 450 line you can do on a 250. So like a lot of people say, oh, I can't hit 450 lines on a 250. I call BS, because it's really just technique. It's not the lazy riding, learning how to do that. Also scrubbing, you know, giving that extra speed, giving it more beans than you think you need, and then scrubbing off that speed through the corners. Like here, scrub, you know, stuff like that. Like you can literally scream it and then scrub off that speed. Learning how to do that on a 250 will benefit you on that 450 riding coming down. Now, every 250 is different, whether it be a Yamaha, Austrian Bikes, KTM, you know, the Husqvarna, or a Honda or a Kawasaki. They all have their own gearing ratio, their own suspension setup. I mean, that's the whole reason why we have multiple different bikes, because they're all not one size fits all. So learning, technique on each bike, learning on each, a technique on each bike will benefit you to when you go over to the 450, because they're also the same thing. That's why they're completely different, and they all feel different. They have their own little gear ratio, their suspension, and their weight to it. Another big thing for working on Supercross is starting off with a 250 is just doubling, or learning how to get that momentum or that drive that just doubles like this. How much power do I need to be able to go through these whoops? Maybe if I'm slowing down like this, I need to start carrying my momentum. So I'll just start slowing down, maybe cutting down like this, and half throttle, staying in a lower gear. How much more difficult that is, to where I'm literally wrapping around all my corners. So with all that I've been said, whether it be speed, corner speed, throttle control, standing up longer, the lightweight bike, I want you guys to just kind of focus on my lines and understand why I'm doing it, right? So say it off in your head, or I'll say it out loud of why I'm doing it. So cutting down right here, because it's a small, shallow double, I can just stand up, upshift to third. Using third is all I need to be able to hit this big boy jump. Rounding this corner, I can stand up the whole time, scrub off that speed, up and over, get that pop off. Same thing here, I'm not cutting down, I'm rounding my speed so I can carry it, and then upshifting up to fifth so I do not run out of gear, and or my back end does not start slipping out. The biggest thing is once you start losing traction, that's when things start getting a little wild. But keeping up that momentum, you can just see it feels flowy instead of stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. Like a 450, you can do a lot of stop and go, but get the power back up. On a 250, it's all about not stopping and going, keeping that speed right there. No stop throughout that whole corner. Same thing here, upshift to fourth, no stop, just going. That's what we want. That's really what the biggest focus on is eliminating that stop and go. Because when you stop that on a 250, you won't do it on a 450, to where you're actually keeping up way more power, way more speed, shaving off your times, like it's the biggest thing. So working on that consistency as well, being able to stay consistent on how much power you need to give on each jump is huge on a 250, because it just, I guess it varies, it always varies to being able to hit the same line every time on a 250. And or trying to do that on a 450. I don't know. Hopefully that helped out. Hopefully that makes sense of what I'm talking about. Just really trying to show you guys how much I'm wrapping around a lot of things and keeping that momentum up and keeping it up into third gear, and or just at RPMs, right? I don't ever try to shift down the first gear. There's nothing for you in first gear. So staying in that higher RPM and trusting your speed to catch back up is going to be huge. Now, if you thought this video was very helpful and you want to know more in depth of what I was talking about, of scrubbing, knowing when to sit and stand, the corner speed and all that, you can definitely head over to my 2500 hour video, tips and tricks for Supercross, and that should be able to help you out even 10 times more if you really want to focus on actually diving in of 250 riding. But right now, I'm just really explaining why you need to stay on a 250 as a new beginner. That lazy riding is not going to help you. It's only going to hurt you later down the road when you really want to start practicing for amateur, whether it be, or pro, whether it be at 100 hours, 200 hours, 300 hours. Also, the time to start your settings and getting very comfortable on a bike is now. You don't want to be uncomfortable. You want to feel comfortable enough and then get uncomfortable again when you want to start pushing the bike even harder. So hopefully that made sense, but thank you guys for clicking on the video. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe button. Let me know down in the comment section if I missed certain things, or if I felt like I was just rambling on or said the same thing a lot. I feel like I did. It's just I'm trying to explain the best reason why, or show you at the same time why I'm talking, how much more momentum and or speed I was carrying around the track. But thank you guys for watching. It's your boy Ibskelso, and I will catch you guys in the absolute next one. Peace.